Hey everybody, Drew here, Director of Student Ministries at Comparing Community Church in Lenexa, Kansas. I hope you've all had a wonderful week. I certainly had. I had the blessing opportunity to meet my new niece. I've really had to hold her and just see her, as well as see my mom, who's in town from North Carolina, who I don't get to see very often. So it was just a really nice week for me. I hope you've had a wonderful week as well. As you know, last week we finished our series called Jesus Is. Last week we talked about how Jesus is better than a best friend, how we can think of our best friend and we think it's such an amazing person, but truth is, at some point they fail. We even fail as best friends. It's just how it is, but they're still our best friend. But the idea that there is one person out there who is better than a best friend, and that is Jesus, someone who will never fail us, someone who's always there for us. But it's truly amazing. This week we're starting a series called Atypical. We're going to go into the first week of this, and we're going to talk about how Jesus uses families that are different. He uses families that aren't normal a lot of times, which is a cool thing to see. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about a show that's based off of a family. A few that come to mind are Blackish, Fuller House, Modern Family. Just a few off the top of my head. One of the big ones that comes to me is Full House, one that I watched growing up. A show about this crazy family who lived together. It was a dad, his daughters, and these two uncles living in the same house. And truth be told, it was not a normal family. It was kind of crazy. You know, you had ups and downs with everything, but in the long run, they all loved each other. Now, when you think about that family, take a minute and think about your family. Do you think they're normal? When I think about mine, I never think of normal. Just how it is. My family is not normal. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Being not normal is okay. But when you think about that TV family again, would you say they're normal? Would you say any TV family is normal? I wouldn't. Because if you think about it, no TV family is normal. Because normal isn't entertainment. It's just how it is. Normal is kind of boring. It's also good. It's okay to be normal. Nothing wrong with that. But normal, it's not entertaining. Now, let's get back to your family. Maybe when you think about your family, you think, man, my family is so weird. And sometimes I wish they were normal. Sometimes maybe you think, man, my family is normal, but they're a little quirky. And I love it. It's awesome. Maybe you think, my family is so normal. I just wish they were weird. Wish they weren't normal at times. Or maybe you think about your family and you think of family that looks normal from the outside, but truly when you get to know them, they're not normal at all. But with that being not normal, you don't show that because it's hard to talk about. There's so many different types of families out there, and that's okay. Biggest thing you need to know about all different types of families is no matter what your family is like, your family is loved by God, which is such an amazing thing. And no family is truly normal. That's just not a thing. There's no perfect family. I'm sure if you're like me, you think about your family and it's a little bit dysfunctional. And sometimes they maybe even get on your nerves. But no matter how crazy your family is, God can use your family. In fact, there's plenty of Bible stories about God using not normal families, using different families. Let's just look at the very beginning of the Bible. Let's start in Genesis. Let's start and look at the first family. Let's take a minute and look at Adam and Eve. Take a minute and think about it. Adam and Eve, they had this great life where they had no worries. They didn't have to worry about where their next meal was coming from. There was no sin in the world. It was great. It was awesome. I mean, I can tell you, it'd be nice for me to live in that. I'd love it. But after a little while, everything changed. They lost a lot, their innocence, the garden, and access to God. They gained a lot too, though. They gained shame and a hard life. Stuff changed for them. They became a very dysfunctional family. But even though they made a bad choice and God was disappointed in them, he still gave them hope. He was still there for them. He still gave them the opportunity and someone to lean on. Now let's keep going. Let's look at the next line of it. Cain and Abel. After everything had happened, Adam and Eve had two sons. They had two sons, Cain and Abel. Both of them. One day they got in a fight. Cain killed Abel. Again, dysfunctional family. Let's think about that. Murder. What? That's crazy. But the truth is, it was a dysfunctional family. But through all of that, even though Cain disobeyed God, upset God, hurt God, God didn't leave him hopeless. God still gave him an opportunity. And even though it was a bad story, even though there was hard times, God used the story of Adam and Eve for so many different things. If you think about it, when you look back at like a genealogy in the Bible, a lot of it starts with Adam and Eve. That's where it begins, with Adam and Eve. It's the beginning of our whole story in our Bible. And let me tell you, they were a dysfunctional family. And that's okay, because God used them anyways. So even though my family and your family may not be normal, may be dysfunctional, God can still use them. He can use them to do great things like he did to Adam and Eve. So remember that as you go into your week, and you think about your family, especially in this time where you're sitting in quarantine, where you may be driven crazy by your family because you're around them so much. But just remember the fact that God can use your family, especially a dysfunctional one. In fact, he loves doing it. There's so many more stories in the Bible about it. Just a few that come up to my head. Moses' family was pretty dysfunctional. Joseph's family was pretty dysfunctional. There's just a few there. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Below this video, there's an attachment with some reading and some questions. I highly encourage that you read those passages. It is the story of Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel, as well as a little more. And take some time and answer the questions as a family or with some friends. I highly encourage it. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I hope you're enjoying your Sunday or whatever day you are watching this video, because we all know that sometimes church doesn't happen on Sundays. But I hope you have a wonderful week, and you enjoy the time you have been given with your family, and you would go out and enjoy the nice weather. I miss every single one of you, and I cannot wait to get back together with you. Have a wonderful day. God bless.